Hi, I'm Natalie Ivanoff.
And I'm Nick Davenport.
I'm Chadwick Spears, and now with us today is Will Davies. Today we'll be presenting our research on Ford Motor Company and their operations in the United Arab Emirates compared to North America. We will do this by first providing a background of the company, then explaining the company's corporate strategy regarding the balanced scorecard, and showing some of their recent struggles. We will then break down the differences between Ford Motor Company's operations in the Middle East and North America, and how Ford embodies similar strategies as Sheikh Mohammed in the Middle East. And we'll conclude our presentation by offering a few questions that we plan to ask business leaders during our corporate visit in Dubai.
So, just to provide a little bit of background information on Ford Motor Company, it was originally founded by Henry Ford in Detroit, Michigan in 1903, and they're currently headquartered in Dearborn, Michigan, around several other car companies. They sell automobiles and other commercial vehicles under the Ford brand name, as well as luxury cars under the Lincoln brand, and they additionally own the Brazilian SUV manufacturer Troller. Their goals currently are to help connectivity, the environment, and mobility. They're working on designing smarter vehicles and being the best in their field. They also hold an 8% stake in UK's Aston Martin and a 49% stake in Jingling Motors of China. They also have joint ventures in China, Taiwan, Thailand, Turkey, and Russia. As for their corporate strategy, their customers are people of all different fields, all different backgrounds, and various levels of income, normally ranging from middle to upper class. They attract their customers through advertising. They have several new ads that just came out specific to certain regions and a few new ones that are specific to the Middle East. They also attract customers through their green plans. They're trying to be more environmentally friendly. They're also working on making more reliable vehicles, and their philanthropy is also another way that they attract customers. In terms of their customer value proposition, the primary form of that they have is product leadership. They're involved in making more lightweight cars, constantly improving fuel efficiency, keeping up with different styles of vehicles, stuff like that. And then a secondary value proposition for them is customer intimacy, and they do this through different lines of vehicles. They have the F-150, the GT, the Taurus, all of these different lines that really appeal to different customers, and then the customization options within each vehicle in terms of interior, sound systems, wheels, everything like that.
Ford follows these three business processes to achieve their strategy and to attract customers to the Ford Motors brand. First, they want to build a sustainable future, about which company leaders have said, "We want our operations and activities to have a positive impact on the world while remaining a successful business. Our integrated governance systems and processes help us rebuild sustainability across our company." About providing responsible, transparent governance, they've said, "We're trusted by all our stakeholders to operate responsibly and transparently. They expect us to have clear policies and strategies to govern our business, manage our performance, and help create value ethically and in full compliance throughout our business practices." And lastly, about engaging with stakeholders to understand key issues, they've said, "Our most recent materiality review and ongoing engagement with stakeholders help us understand and prioritize the sustainability issues that are most important to our business and our stakeholders."
As of December 2014, Ford dealt with many issues in their field. Four of these issues were the falling gas prices, issues internationally, recall issues, and low sales. The first issue that Ford had to deal with was falling gas prices. In 2014, Ford was making a priority to make cars with better fuel efficiency. This was exemplified through the F-150, which at this time, in this model, had a 29% better fuel efficiency than any F-150 they had made before. In this time frame, as previously mentioned, gas prices were falling lower than ever before. People interested in buying cars did not believe that they had to go and buy a very fuel-efficient car, seeing the dip in sales for gas prices. However, despite this, Ford did not believe they had to change their plan. They just wanted to stick to fuel efficiency and hope things would change around in the future. This was a successful decision by Ford, as prices did dip eventually to extreme lows in 2016 before increasing ever since then. In the last 4 years, the highest prices are currently occurring in the market. Ford has continued to work on fuel efficiency, which is evident in the new F-150 diesel model, which has the highest ranked fuel efficiency of any pickup truck to date. The second issue that Ford had dealt with in this time frame was internationally speaking. In 2011 and since then, Ford had to deal with overseas issues in Europe. The first of this was the European debt crisis, which grew due to higher pension costs and possible major changes in buying behavior. Along with this, issues in Russia have also hurt the firm. This includes the Ukraine political crisis, shifts in currency value, and the suddenly falling Russian economy. These all hurt Ford. In another major area, not in Europe, but in South America rather, was issues with currency exchange problems, which were destroying profitability. Ford predicted a $1 billion loss in its operations in the continent of South America alone. Since issues occurred internationally speaking, not much has changed even in 2018. The European branch of Ford is still believed to be extremely unprofitable, and it is also seen as the single largest threat to the long-term financial health and success of Ford Motors. Morgan Stanley has renewed its doubts about Ford's European operation, valuing it at a negative $5 billion in a recent report. It is believed that a possible separation between Ford Motors and its European stakeholders could cost up to $5.3 billion. In terms of issues with Russia, from 2011 to 2016, Ford invested $1.5 billion into the Russian branch of its operations. In 2016, the company earned a 10% sales increase, and in June 2017, sales increased by 24%. This was seen as a major win for Russian operations. However, recent issues have arisen, and Ford has cut prices in Russia, trying to end the slump. Finally, in South America, operations have remained inefficient, and Ford is trying to sell the unit to rival companies. The third issue that Ford had to deal with was problems with recalls. In 2014, Ford had to recall 4 million vehicles for multiple reasons. It had to increase its reserve for recalls to $1 billion in response to this. In October of 2014, Ford CEO Mark Fields said Ford's pre-tax profit showed a $1.4 billion decrease compared to 2013. Reasons for the profit decrease included lower volume, higher warranty costs, and currency exchange effects. Since then, Ford has still had to deal with this issue a lot, and recently, in July and October of 2018, they had to recall more vehicles, so clearly this is still an issue. The final issue that Ford had to deal with were low sales. In December 2014, sales were low, and that was attributed to their many new vehicle launches that they were doing at the time. The November 2014 sales report was very stagnant, which aggravated investors and scared the company as a whole. They showed a 1.8% decrease from the year before, November 2013. As of August 2018, sales have still stayed low, and in July of 2018, there was a 27.1% year-over-year decline in sales.
Moving on from these issues, just going to discuss a little bit about the unique features of operations for this global company. They're slightly different in North America, as the Middle East is a little bit different. So we'll just talk about first the baseline here where Ford originated. So it was founded and based here in America, but now it's on a global scale as of quite recently, actually within the last 100 years. Their current projects in America include new advanced diesel engines to reduce CO2 emissions and improve fuel efficiency. They're really joining a lot of other companies in terms of helping the environment and trying to join that movement. Another one of their projects was a $25 million investment to their Kentucky truck plant to increase manufacturing line speed. So this can be seen that they're trying to improve productivity within their company and make their company a little bit more profitable. And then another one of their projects right now and goals of that project is that by 2020, they're hoping that their Dearborn campus, the headquarters in Michigan, will be LEED certified, which is another environmental company and powered by geothermal and solar energy alone that will not only power their facility but also give back to the community in terms of 4 megawatts of energy, which can power more than 1,000 homes within the neighborhood. Being a little bit newer than the American division, the Middle Eastern division has a little bit of catching up to do, but they're growing very rapidly. And Mark Avendin, their president of the Middle East and African division, says, "Our Middle East and Africa unit consists of one of the most diverse business operations within Ford. In our Dubai office alone, the one that we'll be visiting, we celebrate over 30 nationalities among 220 employees who provide wide-ranging and inclusive perspectives reflecting the truly global nature of our organization." So this really reflects that they're going to not only be global in terms of business, but also in terms of who they employ and who their customer base is. So speaking to the progress and advancements in their Middle Eastern operations, their Dubai headquarters actually just got Silver LEED certified, so they're now certified as an environmentally friendly plant and production center. They're also currently working on reducing their environmental impact of the plant. Just recently, actually, they announced a 60% reduction in kilowatts per unit used from 2011 to 2017. So this is a major improvement, and they've done so through using renewable energy sources. As previously stated, they're trying to go completely to solar and geothermal energy, so that has definitely been a great success for them. Additionally, they're trying to lower their environmental footprint of supply chain by working with their suppliers as well as freight partners to make things more efficient and have less vehicles on the road, in the water, and bringing them things be a little bit more organized. In terms of sales, the Ford Mustang and the F-150 just recently made their debuts in the UAE this year, so they're very new. The 2018 Ford Mustang and the 2018 F-150 came out, and they have a little bit less customization options than here in the US, but they're definitely working on bringing those to the UAE as well. This is to be understood and expected because they only began operations in the Middle East about 60 years ago, but their growth has been shown by the fact that they have over 155 facilities in that region that is employing over 7,000 Arab nationals. So as you can see, there are similarities and differences between the Middle Eastern and the North American divisions. Definitely more similarities than differences. All divisions of Ford are currently focusing on reducing their impact on the environment, going to renewable energy, going to more efficient fuel in their vehicles, and so all kind of having the same goals. They also have manufacturing plants in both areas. We have ones here in Kentucky and in Michigan, and there are also ones in Turkey in the Middle East. I think the main difference is that more models have been available in the US, and that is because Ford's US division has been around for so much longer and their headquarters are based here. It's much easier for them to roll out new vehicles because they're so close. It's much easier to communicate, and not to mention they're also surrounded by what is known as the car hub here in America. Michigan is home to several other car companies, so it's definitely much easier to come up with new ideas and bring them out to the US markets first.
As our class learned in the Dubai case study, the Vice President and Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed, is working to achieve two main goals in this country. The first is to create a United Arab Emirates that's less reliant on oil and more sustainable overall. And the second is to become the most economically powerful nation in the world. Ford Motors has embodied similar strategies as Sheikh Mohammed through working to become more sustainable and setting high financial goals. Some of Ford's sustainability goals have already begun to come to fruition through investing $11 billion for 40 hybrid vehicles by 2022, creating lightweight cars to increase fuel efficiency through switching to aluminum-based materials. They've begun development of fuel alternatives in biofuels, compressed natural gas, and liquefied natural gas to limit CO2 emissions. They've implemented a sustainable material strategy, which uses materials that have been obtained through socially sustainable means. And lastly, they've begun ensuring that all steps of production in their supply chain are sustainable. In addition, Ford has set the financial goals of their One Ford plan, which includes improving its global sales by 45% to 55% by the year 2020. And lastly, they've set the goal for itself to be in the top quartile of shareholder returns among all its competitors.
Through researching Ford Motors Company, we learned about their business strategy and operations, as well as future goals and current projects in both the United States and the United Arab Emirates. From this new knowledge, we've compiled a list of a few questions that we hope to ask Ford Motors during our visit with them in Dubai to gain an even deeper understanding to their company and where they're headed down the road.
The first question that we wanted to ask is Ford recently announced plans to limit North American car sales to only the Ford Mustang and the Ford Focus Active models. How will this affect business in the Middle East, and does the Middle Eastern division plan to implement the same changes in the future?
Further with that, another question that I had was, we've been studying the importance of sustainability both in the world and specifically in the UAE. Ford is taking many actions to make their production plants more environmentally friendly, as we saw through their goals and current projects. Does Ford have any projects specific to the environmental impact of their vehicles once on the road and in the consumer's hands?
Another thing that we thought about as we researched this project was that the United States and Dubai have very different cultures and very different styles. Ford is a type of company that asserts the idea that Americans have the muscle style of car, which can be seen in their models such as the F-150. We were interested to see how Ford and how the Middle East Ford branch has appealed to fit the style of sports car that fills society of the UAE compared to the Fords of America.
We were also very curious about how Ford is able to communicate across the world, with their headquarters being in the United States and also having such a major operation in the United Arab Emirates. So we wanted to ask the leaders, what is the process of bringing new ideas and innovation from Ford's headquarters in Michigan, the American Automotive Center, to the markets of the Middle East?
Next, we also saw through looking at their business strategy that one of their main ways of attracting customers is through their philanthropy. They have a big emphasis on giving back to communities, as we saw with their energy projects and local neighborhoods. So how is their Ford division in the Middle East contributing to improving overall society over there? We see a lot of projects here in the United States that are working on that, but there's not as much information as the United States on those in the Middle East.
Finally, one very relevant question that we all are interested in finding out more about is how this branch of Ford will be helping women in the Middle East who are now first allowed to legally drive. How will they help them learn to drive? What will they do in their efforts to help them? Along with how will they tailor their business to a broader customer base than they had before?
So in conclusion, we look forward to meeting with Ford and having the opportunity to learn a little bit more about their company after doing some research, and being able to get some answers to these questions, since they're pretty relevant in today's society with current issues. Thank you.
Dubai.